Toyota, Volkswagen, Ford, Nissan. These aren't failed startups. These are the machines that built the modern world. And right now, every single one of them is bleeding. Honda just posted its first annual loss in 70 years. 70 years. Porsche, their profits didn't drop. They didn't slide. They fell 99%. Not a typo, not a rounding error. 99%. Ford absorbed a $19.5 billion loss in its electric vehicle division alone. $19.5 billion. That's not a bad quarter. That's not a market correction. That is a system breaking from the inside. And the strangest part? Car sales are at record highs. More cars sold, more revenue in, more factories running. And yet, the money is disappearing. So the question isn't whether this is happening. The question is, why? Let's go back to 2021. Every major automaker on Earth made the same announcement, almost word for word. We are going all electric. The internal combustion engine is dead. The future is now. Billions were reallocated. Factories were retooled. Engineers were replaced. And the stock markets, cheap. Because Wall Street doesn't reward making good cars. It rewards making promises. Now here's where the financial forensics get interesting. There's a term called stranded capital. Imagine you spent your entire savings building a lemonade stand on a street. Then the city reroutes all traffic to a different road. Your stand is still there. Your money is still in it. But the customers are gone. That is stranded capital. Now, apply this to Ford. Ford invested tens of billions retrofitting factories for electric trucks. The trucks launched. The customers didn't show up. That capital is now stranded, locked, frozen, bleeding interest daily. Which brings us to sunk cost accumulation. You know that feeling when you've watched 2 hours of a terrible movie and you keep watching just because you've already invested the time? That's sunk cost. Now multiply that feeling by $40 billion and a board of directors that cannot afford to admit they were wrong. That is exactly why these companies didn't slow down when EV demand stalled. They accelerated. More investment, more factories, more debt. Chasing a number they could never reach. There is a concept in the luxury car world called badge engineering. It means selling the exact same car under 3 different logos at 3 very different prices. A Volkswagen becomes an Audi. An Audi becomes a Porsche. Same platform, same bones, different badge. For decades, this worked because the badge meant something. It meant engineering superiority. It meant performance you couldn't get elsewhere. Then technology made a very uncomfortable announcement. A $40,000 Chinese electric sedan now out-accelerates a $100,000 Porsche. Not almost. Not close. Definitively.
This is what economists call brand premium erosion. Imagine you were the only bakery in town that made chocolate cake. People paid $50 a slice because there was no alternative. Then, overnight, every bakery learned your recipe and sold it for $5. What happens to your $50 price tag? It doesn't fall slowly. It collapses. This is precisely what is happening to the premium justification of every European luxury brand. The engineering gap is gone. And when the gap disappears, so does the reason to pay.
In January 2024, Xiaomi launched a car. Not a tech company's experiment, not a prototype. A production vehicle that outsold Tesla in China within its first quarter. Think about what that means. The company that makes your phone charger just entered the automotive industry and immediately won. BYD, which most Westerners couldn't have named 2 years ago, is now the world's largest electric vehicle manufacturer, larger than Tesla, larger than Volkswagen's entire EV division. This is what trade analysts call vertical integration advantage. Imagine two sandwich shops. Shop A buys its bread from one supplier, its cheese from another, its meat from a third. Shop B grows its own wheat, raises its own cows, makes everything in-house. Who sells the cheaper sandwich? Shop B? The bottom line is more vertical integration equals cheaper product. BYD makes its own batteries, its own chips, its own motors. Ford and Volkswagen buy theirs from the same supply chains that BYD helped build. So when BYD drops prices, Detroit bleeds. But here's what none of the earnings reports mention. The consumer. You. The average monthly car payment in the United States has crossed $1,000. $1,000 per month. Not for a sports car, not for a luxury vehicle, for an average car. Economists call this demand destruction through debt servicing. Imagine your neighbor borrowed money to buy every toy in the shop. Now, every paycheck goes to paying that loan. He can't buy anything else. He can't replace the toys when they break. He's trapped. Now scale that to 60 million American households carrying auto debt at interest rates above 8%. These households cannot upgrade, cannot switch to electric, cannot absorb another price increase. They are locked. And the automakers know this, which is why they've quietly restarted 0% financing deals. Not because they're generous, but because without those deals, nobody buys. So here is where we stand. The manufacturers are drowning in stranded capital. The consumers are drowning in debt. The Chinese competitors are accelerating. And the governments, they're quietly negotiating bailout frameworks they haven't announced yet. The last time this happened, we called it 2008. But 2008 was a housing bubble. This one sits in your driveway. And if you think this ends with the car industry, you haven't seen what's happening to the banks that financed every single one of these vehicles.